Alrighty, what's going on, guys? Evan Aldo here. Hope you guys are enjoying your night or your day. So ultimately, we like to show the trades first, I guess, here. And this is what we're looking at right here, guys. Looking at an ETH trade that's deeply, well, not that bad, but I mean, significantly, in the red here. And let's see, Carlton, yeah, ETH to 5K by the end of the year. What's up, Johnny M? What's up, everybody? So, significantly in the red there, and we'll keep that trade up because I like to show people the red. A lot of people like to show the greens, but the red. I don't know what I'm saying, but yeah, I mean, look, I think the big thing here to kind of sum it all up a little bit, not waste your time too much, is I mean, look, it's an important place to hold, I would argue. I don't think it's the absolute end of the world if you were to come back down to 4,000. I mean, you're very range bound. I do think the ball will get rolling, probably, within a week by October 15th, which is a week from today. So if I had to guess, I would say the ball will probably get rolling by there and you'll see something. I mean, it's either going to break upward or break downward off of this kind of large range. And I mean, your two targets would be your main target that I think you'll get to, hopefully still by the end of the month, 5,800. If you break downward, and I mean, I guess some of the sentiment on, this is where we'll get a little bit bearish, but not really. Some of the sentiment on people on Twitter and all that, does kind of remind me of what people were saying at the exact top in November of 2021. It's going to be crazy, alts are going to go crazy, all that, and then everything just fell off a cliff. But I'm not seeing like those bearish signs yet to like, amplify that or, support that yet, at least. And we'll talk about that in a second. But I mean, I don't see any, I kind of follow a strategy here and I don't see any reason to sell just yet. DCA out, scale out from now to end of December, sure. But like, get the hell out, sell, get scared. I'm not seeing that yet. Not saying we won't see that, but I don't think we're going to see that yet. So its deadline is mid-October. We haven't pumped by then. Yeah, you might be right, Dream 7X. I mean, it depends how you define mid-October. Is October 20th okay? I mean, what's up, Sean? You've been a long-time viewer. Appreciate you. So, yeah. And I always appreciate you guys. Always appreciate you smashing the like button and all that good stuff. So, yeah, I mean, ultimately here, I mean, I think you got potential. I mean, the daily does not look good, but you could argue it's kind of already played out. Excuse me, got a little bit of cough now that I fought off this cold. And yeah, what's up, Big G? Let's see. Luna did a $2, yeah. After, yeah. I mean, yeah, okay. You guys are asking BMNR. It's probably bleeding against ETH right now. There's that and SBET, which are the two ETH ones. Well, let me just talk about the things that to fear first, or actually not really to fear, but so I think that the 3 week here is going to be kind of your big like sell signal thing situation. Like November, December, that kind of area potentially. I would think that's the longest you could go out to. I think this will be like your really good. They always drive around with cars here and say the same exact thing. I don't know what it is. They do it all around. It's interesting, like all hours of the day, almost the night. I wonder what it is. Anyway, but I think this ultimately potentially coming up a little bit more here. And, up to maybe December, maybe even January. If things really get extended. January is most likely when the Fed will pause. What happened last time the Fed paused? You guessed it, we crashed. So, yeah, I'm not seeing anything there. I mean, if you look at, 2017 into 2018, I mean, when did the ball really get rolling in 2017? If you want to compare it there. And that's, you know, it kind of gets to the point where you're just going to wait, you know, forever for something to happen. But I mean, 2017 into, you know, right here, the ball got rolling at the end of October there. So, you know, a little jump up there, you know, I mean, here, obviously, you know, much different situation, but, you know, a little jump up like that. Then you came back down. Then things, well, actually, freaking December into, that's interesting, yeah, into January. So, I mean, can that happen? Maybe. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, it can play out like that, I guess. You know, this don't look the most bullish here. You know, some of these evaluations against Bitcoin definitely don't look the most bullish. I mean, if you just follow what we've done since, you know, since January of 2022, in all likelihood, you would come down lower against Bitcoin. But we'll see, you know. So, yeah, and then total 3 minus your 2 major stable coins still has not made a new all-time high. You're getting close. I would think 1.5 trillion would be doable if your average altcoin doubles in the next few months. So, yeah, what's up, Dreams? Yeah, I'm with you, man. I mean, you were saying, yeah, mid-October. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm definitely with you. And then hopefully we could extend just a little bit more. And that's what I think we need here. I mean, I know CryptoFace uploaded a video pretty recently. I think he said, I don't put words in his mouth, but I think he said it's important to, you know, hold 4,300. Yeah, I mean, obviously. Well, I don't want to like say obviously, but for the reverse head and shoulder situation, yeah, you'd want to. No, it's not that obvious. I mean, but you know, right there, true way for net outside. We got to keep an eye on these. Could be some bearish things there. It is a little bit conflicting. I mean, there's people, you know, on different sides of the, you know, the aisle here. ETH, Bitcoin, hopefully a higher low, but, you know, you're not exactly looking like the most bullish situation. Yeah. Yeah. Well, nobody really knows. That's the thing, too. Like, you know, there's a lot of people. You know, like what's like that song, one of those old songs by Eminem? He's like, a lot of people ask me stupid effing questions. A lot of people ask me stupid effing questions. Under 4K would look pretty, yeah. I would agree, yeah. I mean, the thing though is like it kind of, so that's the big thing that, you know, I'm not going to lie, I got this from Ben Cowan, but I mean, I think it's, you know, it's obviously still a good, you know, thing to look at. And let me add it in. It was the EMA, 21 EMA, which, yeah, it should be, oh, how do I, hold on. I gotta, damn it. Does it come up there? Okay, maybe if I remove some crap. I don't know, I guess remove this. Kind of don't want to remove some, you know what I mean? I don't want to remove, whatever. Well, no, let's look at the moons before we remove the moons, man. That's a new one. Yeah, full moon. It's the other day. I guess, you know, it's like the thing there is like you should get a jump run. I mean, I guess that would strengthen our jump situation. Not always, just remove the moons. Yeah, we could remove that one. Harmon, that was kind of a... Oh, it's Pi Cycle. I'm curious. I forgot about the damn Pi Cycle tops thing. Is it on... Hold on a second. I have to move, yeah. Let's see here. The Pi Cycle top I want to look at because that... I mean, if you remember, you remember. Nobody talks about that no more, but... Oh, it doesn't even populate anymore? Maybe that's I got the wrong Pi Cycle. But it would tell... It got it. So, yeah, no. It did. Okay. We don't have a Pi Cycle top anymore, guys. We don't have no Pi Cycle top. It got it right there. But no, the Pi Cycle didn't exist back then. It's kind of just a thing in the past. But, yeah. But, yeah. Pi Cycle top. I haven't hit it yet. Interesting thing, too, if you look at, yeah, you got it right in December, right at the... it could go on until December, but I feel like, with the 18 months after the halving, that's kind of the issue. But then again, with the Fed and everything, I don't see it. Pi cycle is so high we won't have a cross, or we go to... Really? It's that high, Dreams? Wow. So I guess that thing's completely dead in the water at that point. I mean, if is it really 3? I wouldn't have expected 300K. I mean, I guess if you went from like 20K, to 60K when it printed that was 3x then. I mean, maybe it's 180 or 200. I don't know if it's 300, but yeah. I don't know. I mean, those indicators are, What's up, Jay Sherlock? Long time fan. Appreciate you. Well, let's take a look at that. 3,300. Yeah. Well, I don't know. That's the thing too, because like, I think people are getting a little antsy too, because it's like, you're getting there, just a few more months or whatever, and people keep telling you that, but it's like, it's kind of like when you're in elementary school, and time goes by really slow when you're in elementary school, and it's just thinking back to there, like, I mean, what do you really get out of, I mean, I think high school, you get some things out of high school if you went to a decent high school, but like, I mean, elementary school, like, wow. I mean, at this point, that's probably pure indoctrination. What's up? Oh, appreciate you, man. $2. Appreciate you. Shout out to Carlton Way, #1. Let me know if there's anything you want me to look at. Let's see. Pi cycle top is 180, 170K with the Pi. Oh. Well, yeah, I mean, for the super bulls out there, I mean, 180, 170K is not impossible. I mean, that's 200. But the 180, that would be like 170 would be a January or December top, potentially, with that spiral line. I mean, obviously things could change, but yeah. I don't think we're going that high, though. I don't think it's really worth it to wait for the Pi cycle top, unfortunately. But yeah. What do I think about ETH? I mean, I would say, well, I mean, typically what I say is wait for some of these trigger waves on, that 10-hour trigger wave probably would save the day, especially if you could hold this general area. I mean, I don't think we made a lower low yet, or we are right now, yeah. We're getting a jump, though. That 4,300 is reacting. I mean, it's, what is it, Thursday morning, East Coast. The thing, too, the elephant in the room, gold, let's talk about it. It's front page CNBC. Everybody's talking about how high gold is. I mean, gold historically. Let's just see how buying the all-time highs in gold, generally would have worked. Well, I mean, after this, full-on bear market, if you bought the all-time high here, back in, 2008, not bad. Not bad. And you came up a little bit higher. You outperformed, S&P 500 for like 2 years, and you didn't do well for another 10, and now you've done pretty well. Or 15, close to 15, actually 12. I would guess after a big run-up what we saw, you would have a 30% correction at some point. Ah, man, I mean, does this top out before Bitcoin tops out? That's a good question. I mean, the highest I would see this going this year is maybe 4,800. I'm just curious what a 30% correction would be. Yeah, that would be back to where we are right now. I think regardless, like, if you're somebody trying to get into gold, and Peter Schiff, I didn't realize this was true. It actually still has outperformed the S&P 500 over the last 25 years, last 20 years. I don't know if that's exactly true, but, you got to count that decade from like 2001 or 2000 to 2010. That decade is really, what helped all that out. Without that decade, the last 25 years, minus that decade is garbage for gold. But I think the big line in the sand would be like 3,300. you know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we don't correct that much. I think if you were to top out here, you know, 4,100 or whatever, you'd probably come back down, maybe less of a correction. I think that 3,200, like 32, 3,300 is a big line in the sand. I mean, remember, guys, like usually when you buy stuff at all-time highs, when when big names are talking about buy, and you know CNBC or whatnot, like usually that's not the best time to buy. You know what I mean? You know, gold and silver are really barking right now. I remember somebody, like, you know, I've met a lot of people, and you know, especially like Europeans, you know, Americans, you know, people that like to talk about politics, you know, especially like younger people. Not all the time, but most of the time, people with, you know, pretty, you know, don't have too much work experience or whatever. You know, not to say that their opinion doesn't matter because of that, or you know, they could be completely right, but I remember like one person I was talking to, like in Argentina, she was like, Trump's barking, he's barking with the tariffs, he's barking. Found that interesting. That's what it's kind of too, like, I feel like the future of, you know, I hate to say it, but I feel like the future of society in some ways, like, of the next world power and all that, of what you'll see probably over the next, you know, 100 years, 200 years or whatever, is going to be, and I don't really support this, you know, too much. You know, there's pros and cons to anything, but it's going to be less freedom of speech, I would argue. You know, that's probably what you'll see. And I mean, there's pros and cons to everything. You know, I'm obviously very pro freedom of speech, at least like Brandenburg versus Ohio, as long as it's not creating a, you know, clear and present danger that something bad's going to happen. But you know, the thing too is like, you know, in the East especially, or even, well, yeah, mainly just the countries where you're not really allowed to, you know, talk about how you talk about Trump, how the Americans talk about Trump or whatnot. You know, people don't talk about politics too much, and it's just more calm. You know what I mean? It's just more of a calm situation. But anyway, let's see. Bitcoin runs hard 100 days after silver. Interesting. Well, that would be about right. That would be 3 more months of general goodness. So yeah. Oh yeah, the thing with silver, I mean, you just made a new all-time high. Historically, when you do so, I mean, you made this all-time high here in 1980. This has been a little bit different, you know. I mean, I guess you could argue cup and handle situation, but that cup and handle could take a couple of years to form. That's the thing too. It could be choppy for a few years here, and it has some choppy areas. I'll tell you that much. I mean, this is a snooze fest sometimes, just nothing happening. But yeah, I mean, the most likely situation, I think you would pull back. You know, I mean, if gold pulls back 30, I would guess 30, maybe like probably worst case scenario back to $30 an ounce. I mean, it does have volatility. Look at what happened in 22, and I mean that was the last bear market year. Yeah, it was March of 22 here, and this situation. So if you're looking at that, yeah, you could be looking at low 30s now. That would be a very good opportunity, I think. So if you were to do, and this is what I would kind of guess, you know, if you were to do some type of this in 2016 or 2026 or whatever, and then gradually, you know, cup and handle forms, and then into your, you know, 2030s or whatnot, then you see a better situation, you know, and hopefully, you know, I think at some point in the 2030s you'll get up to 100 easily, you know, I would think. But yeah, but I mean the thing too with this is like just, you know, finally, you know, made a new all-time high. But the thing too is like it was, imagine you bought like towards the top in 1979, like, man, like how down would you be, you know, in terms of inflation? I mean, you know, what would you'd be down, what, 60-70% in terms of inflation? So yeah, yeah, we could look at M2 money supply. Oh yeah, Aster. I was looking at Daddy Tate. That's a dead project. I would hope, you know, double bottom, higher low situation. So I think, yeah, I would hope something like that would occur and jump back up to, you know, 240 or more, and hopefully $3. So there you go. That's what I'm hoping, man. I don't know if I would buy this right now. I would maybe be waiting for that trigger wave on the 10-hour. I think 10-hour trigger wave on a lot of stuff is important to look at. You don't have it on Bitcoin yet, but maybe 8-hour you do have it kind of forming. So that would hopefully be a big area. I mean, you're still hitting a huge area for Bitcoin, that 120 area. So, you know, as long as things don't get too chaotic here, we should be okay. Yeah, I think, what's up, MICE? Tesla, yeah. I haven't looked at that in a minute. And by the way, guys, if you're interested in trading, check out BloFin down below. You get 20% for fees for life with my link down below. There's a deposit bonus as well. And BYDFI too. There's a 20% off your fees for life. Also, here's the deposit bonus for BYDFI. It ends in 5 or 6 days. Deposit 20K, you get 2,000 bonus. So, yeah, I mean, check it out if you guys are interested. And if you guys deposit at least $100 on either of these exchanges, I'll give you 1 free month in the VIP Discord. Just open a support ticket with your UID or your email, and we'll get you sorted. So, yeah. Well, let's look at Tesla for a second, and then we'll look at Pengu. Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize how well this has done. Yeah. Well, not a surprise, but I mean, I could see it by end of decade. Yeah. I mean, I would generally think you would keep, you know, this situation. It would probably be more extended, like, you know, something like that into 28 or 29. I don't think, yeah, maybe a double. I don't think you'd get too much above 900. I mean, that's a huge freaking, maybe a $3 trillion market cap by end of decade. I don't know. That's what I would guess. I think it's a good buy, obviously. There's no dividend, right? Yeah, yeah. But I still think Tesla's like, I mean, if we wanted to evaluate Tesla against, I mean, the thing you want to obviously outperform with, you know, any NASDAQ stock would be the NASDAQ itself. And, you know, reverse head and shoulders, trigger waves and such. Yeah, I think this probably could outperform the NASDAQ next year even. I mean, it bottomed against the NASDAQ in 2024. So yeah, I mean that triggered her upward 100%. A lot of volatility against the NASDAQ, obviously, but and you're still down 25% from the highs here in 21 or 22. So, but I think you'd eventually, you know, you had a lot of this situation. That's the thing too. Like, just look at it here. I mean, it's not going to be exactly, you know, as long, but you had a lot of that situation, and then, yeah, according to this, you should jump up relatively soon. So, yeah, I think Tesla's pretty good, man. I mean, I don't see you know, I don't really see a vision where Tesla really does really bad. I mean, as much as Tim Walls, Harris Walls. Tim Walls is just one of those people you just know his political career is kind of over now. I mean, is he still the governor or whatever of Minnesota? That guy actually was everything Trump said he was. So yeah, what's up, Victor? What's up, Eric? But yeah, let's see here. Yeah, okay, tethered dominance. Yeah, you could find M2. That's not hard to find. I don't know if that's going to really tell us too much, man, though. I mean, yeah, this always goes up, man. I mean, you know, the only reason they were able to get it to go down a little bit there is because they just printed too much money, and then they unprinted a little bit, and now it goes up. But that doesn't mean, like, I mean, it just always goes up. I mean, you know, it goes up when the market goes down. Yeah, it always, yeah, I think it always goes up based on if population's going to rise in the U.S. I mean, yeah, it's always going to go up. I think it's generally good for crypto, yeah. Yeah, let's look at Cardano. What a great token. What a very interesting token. It's a 2-week trigger wave to the downside. That's a little bit scary. I wouldn't get too scared unless you see a 3-week one, though. But that is a little bit scary. Hmm. Let's see. Yeah. M2 money supply is probably not gonna go down. But I don't think that's not what necessarily, like, I mean, that looking at that chart's not gonna really help you trade, I don't think. Hmm. I mean, what do we need on Cardano to kind of get the ball rolling? I mean, this has done nothing since, yeah, I mean, December. Curious what you'd be down if you bought the all-time high there. Yeah, 37. It's nothing that bad compared to most coins, but yeah. Couple, well, let me just spend another second on this. Maybe the 10-hour, 12-hour to look at. It's just boring, man. I think it should get some momentum after October 15th, though. Let's look at Crow. Hard low right there on Crow. Yeah, I mean I kind of feel like this could be a bottom for a lot of stuff. I mean, trying to higher low there. I'd be looking at that for, I mean, for this, you find the highest time frame with the trigger wave for me. I think for this is the daily, yeah. Maybe even the 2-day, no, daily, I would say, and that could give you some more momentum there. I mean, this was this 50% or more, 49, yeah. I don't think it would correct much more than that, but who knows? I think with Tesla is like, history would tell you, and usually with these big names, these followed people. I mean, if you compare it to like, I mean, what stage would Tesla be in compared to, let's just look at like, when did like Microsoft go public, or let's compare it to Microsoft, And I think too is like the view of, I know it was much different, but like I'm just curious, like okay, this went public in, yeah, such a 86. I didn't even know they had computers back then. No, I'm just kidding. Dinosaur. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that drop and then the bad decade. I mean, I would kind of, compare. I'd probably compare Tesla to like Microsoft in 97, where it was known, it was taken seriously, but, or, 20-year theory, I mean, 95. Like, it was known, it was taken seriously, people had their computers, they were sending their emails a little bit, browsing the net. I mean, what were people doing back then? I don't know. I mean, that type of thing. But it wasn't, like, so huge where people knew, like, this is going to be around for a long, long time. Although most people probably thought that. So I think it's kind of like there. Like, I think you're going to have a bad decade. Like, I mean, I know, there were people who bought, late 90s and they didn't see anything happen until, 20 years later, Not much. I mean, it took so, I mean, just look at how bad that damn decade was. I mean, and the 2030s could be like that. If history does repeat, the 2030s could be like that. If we're like right here, if we're right here in this or whatever, I mean, really, if we could be at 95, I mean, when did this peak? Yeah, that'd be interesting if it's exactly like 30 years later. I don't know if it would be, but it probably won't be exactly for, a lot of these. But I mean, if we're like right there, comparing to like crypto, Tesla, all that, I mean, what was the 5 to, oh my God, I didn't even realize it was that. Okay. That was insane. That just only, oh my, well, what if he got in like, let's see, 86, and when did Bitcoin come out? If he got in 10 years later, 95 or whatever. That's it, yeah, you get a 10x. I mean, well, Bitcoin would have been, well, let's say you got in 2021 or the high there. Yeah, then I mean that would tell you, let's say take an average. Okay, let's say you got in at like 15K, yeah, 10K to, yeah. It would be, if you're thinking Bitcoin could top out at say 400K by end of decade, it would be similar in some ways. And I'm trying to do the math in my head and stuff, not the easiest thing to do, but yeah. Let's look at the Bitcoin in each chart. Bitcoin, well, now it's above 20K now, but yeah, I don't know, man. maybe come back to 115 or something. I mean, the low I was looking at was 102, but yeah. Gold is nuking good. We want that to come down. How are yields doing? That's what we want to look at. For some interest rates go, ooh, they are going up. That's a little, some like bad inflation data come out. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Tesla I think will do well. What's up, John 01? What is my background before investing? My background is it's not none of those things actually. It was broadcasting. Well, it was really, I was a paralegal before all of this in my early 20s, around 23 years old, and I studied like crazy to all this stuff, technical analysis and crypto and all that, while I was a paralegal mainly. I was into crypto when I was in college, when I was at 18. I'm 28 years old. I mean, about 10 years ago, but it wasn't too serious. So I knew a lot more than the average person about it, but it wasn't, too serious until much later. So yeah. But nah, if you want somebody with a bunch of credentials and stuff, unfortunately, I'm not. I'm not your guy in that aspect. I mean. Yeah, I mean, some things that, from early 20s when I, first started YouTube, I was like 24, I think. Yeah, I was 24, 24 and a half when I first, started to do pretty well. And, kind of got my name out there. And, you look at how things changed, over the years and your life and everything. And, it's been a ride. It's been a ride. I mean, there's some aspects, that are different in a better way. I mean, I think, I've generally aged okay. I could have aged better in some ways, I think. I look at, some people have commented like the amount of freckles on my arms. They kind of look, damaged by the sun. But yeah, I've always had very fair skin. Kind of got to work on that a little bit more with some like moisturizing cream and stuff like that to, make my arms look, instead of like 40-year-old arms, back to like, 28-year-old arms. So yeah. Especially living in Florida, always living in tropical climates. But I mean, the thing is, like, I don't want to live in no freaking. I mean, I don't really enjoy living in cold climates unless I don't. Do you guys like living in cold climates? I mean, it's paralegal. Yeah, I'm trying to think if with which paralegal work was all. Oh, no news due to shutdown. When shutdown's over, which I don't know, maybe a couple more weeks, that may propel the market upward. In terms of paralegal, yeah, I'm trying to think if AI could, it was mainly it was very monotonous crap I did, like blue booking. It was kind of like a sales job in some aspects, because I would try to find clients that wanted to, be like plaintiffs or lead plaintiffs in the cases we did. People that, were, or potentially had damages or whatnot. So getting people to sign up for that. It was some phone calls. I'm trying to think if paralegals still, like, what could be replicated better with AI. And I mean, that stuff was monotonous. So I'm kind of happy that they could replicate it with it. I mean, the stuff AI will take, I feel like, is kind of good overall. It will disrupt a lot of things. It will probably cause the next recession within, 5 years now. 5 to 7 years, I would say. Probably 5 years. I would guess 2030, but, who knows the exact year. Could be next year even. But, I think it will be a net positive, too, because, self-driving cars will be great. I mean, especially older people, too, or, people that are just terrible drivers, that'll save a lot of lives, I think, overall. It depends, when the whole world will see that, But yeah. Let's see. It was last bull run, was the one I made the most money, and it was mainly with Cardano, Ethereum, and Matic were the big three that I made the most money with. It was big, man. I mean, it was over 10x for, all those three, I think, Well, maybe Cardano was a little less than. ETH and Matic were big, so it was over a 10x. I mean, I'm not going to tell you exactly how much I made, but, if you had, 20, 30K, 50K to invest back then over a 10x, I mean, a lot, obviously. I don't know, gooning? Oh, that's what you, gold is, okay. Hmm. Because you had some other good comments, I'm going to let that slide, but you don't be writing weird crap. Let's look at gold. I mean, gold, I think, I could be wrong. I think Ray Dalio probably wants some exit liquidity because he's probably has a lot that he wants to, convert to, I would say probably convert to cash and probably wait for the SPY and all that to dip and buy back in. I would think the big boys want some exit liquidity here. I mean, if this 4,000 is your yearly top, you're probably going back to 3,300 at some point here. Oh yeah. They bought it. If you ever been, it's a BYD or whatever I don't know. BYD. If you ever been in one of those, it's a very good Tesla copycat. It's funny how they bought that, how Munger bought that, because it's kind of like a bet against copycat China in a lot of ways. Against the against that, but yeah, it worked out. I think that's the big thing too, is you're going to see probably not too much in the 2030s, but in the next 5 years and then the 2040s, you're going to see a lot of Chinese companies, probably some Japanese companies too. And mainly, I think Chinese companies do really well. And it could be kind of similar to what we saw in the NASDAQ for a lot of American companies. Like, there's a lot of Chinese companies that I think are going to do, very well. They got the population. They got a lot of the, things required. So, yeah. I mean, people say like authoritarian governments have cracks, but it depends. I mean, I think the future is gonna, I hate to say it, but the future is gonna be more authoritarian, whether you like it or not. Sure, you may have your guns, and, I support that. I think that's, why no one's really effed with America too much, over the last 100 years or more. But what happens when your guns are basically obsolete and everybody's got, all the military and all that's got drones that'll, fly over you every 3 seconds. I mean, you got your gun, but the moment you pull it out, a drone gets you. You know what I mean? It's like that's unfortunately kind of what the future is, and they're probably not gonna let civilians have drones. But yeah, let's look at AVAX. It's a good question. Well, it didn't go down that much, but yeah, clean rejection from 36. I mean, it had some momentum there. I think that this is interesting too, because you had that. Yeah. Hopefully this trend reversal is more of a trend reversal upward to like 60 or more. So yeah. Hopefully that's that situation, yeah. Up to 60 or whatever, yeah. Nah, coca bean, coca. We could take a look. I feel like I don't want to look at commodities though. Well, I mean, look at gold, but the one I like to look at, and I think, this is kind of related to farmland. I mean, obviously you'd need a cattle farm to, kind of follow this, but I feel like they don't want cattle to go down. You know what I mean? I just feel like if they don't want people to eat meat. Like, why is steak always the most expensive thing? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. There's some good steak where I am for very cheap, surprisingly. But yeah, well, I mean, even anywhere, even cheap steak is still expensive compared to most other foods. I mean, yeah. What was this area? 14 to 20 was that? These are weird sometimes, but yeah. I mean, how would you have? Yeah. I mean, China has a lot of money invested kind of in Japan to a certain extent. I think they own a lot of land there too. I could be mistaken, but I believe they have a lot invested in Japan, own a lot of land there. Definitely a lot of influence over them too. And I think if China continues to kind of propel, I think Japan will as well. Japan's different though, but yeah, I'll be going there in not too long, so we'll see. I'm pretty excited for that, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, so Japan. By the way, guys, if you're interested in trading, check out the pin chat for BloFin. You get 20% off your fees. My link for life. If you guys are interested, we got some good trade setups in the Discord. No shorts, but you know, I'm wearing shorts, so I don't need any more shorts right now. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, this point's pretty big, 42. Hopefully you jump. I mean, that's what I'm hoping for, just like Crypto Face was mentioning. I mean, yeah, hopefully you jump. Take off the pi cycle. That ain't gonna help. Yeah, oh, here we go. That's what we wanted. EMA 20 21 MA. Oh. 3,700. Yeah, I mean, that was the big point that Ben Cowan's been talking about. Is that like bull market support band or something? I forget. He's got his own, type of thing. But yeah, I mean, if that catches up, 30, yeah, it could. I mean, if October's really sideways, I do think the ball should get rolling by like mid-October, though. But I guess it could be more extended. We'll see. We'll see. I feel like 4,300 is kind of trying to hold. I mean, that 15-minute, not too shabby. I don't know if I would enter a trade just yet, but yeah, that combined with that 10-hour, those are two things we want to look more bullish. And if they do look more bullish, it would be a higher confidence that we, bottomed. Let's see. Do I just do technical analysis or do I don't do too much fundamental analysis of stocks. I'm more TA, but I mean, obviously, I know fundamental. I look into fundamentals for stocks if I'm going to invest in one. I mean, that stuff's kind of easy to find for stocks. I mean, usually fundamentals is not too. I mean, unless you. You could argue some individual, has better fundamental analysis skills than news articles, but, I mean, that's not that. I mean, most people would agree, Tesla's got some decent fundamentals. Most people would agree, the big boys got some decent fundamental, stuff like that. The thing too is like, the more years you do this, the more people you deal with just shilling you complete nonsense like shit tokens and whatnot. And I mean, it's kind of just entertaining too, the new news shields. Amazon too, I think, like I'd be curious what this would end up, over the next like $2 trillion market cap, which is insane. I think you would kind of, by end of decade, like could you get up to, I mean, you got to zoom out a little bit more. I think it would be more extended. I'd just follow this like general trajectory here or whatever, Oh man, that's actually, got to really zoom out here if we want to. I was trying to think in a decade, so like that's, I mean, I would assume, maybe slower, more like that situation. Last 5 years, this decade, like it still goes, but nothing too crazy. Like I don't think you would get much above, mid threes by end of this decade. Who knows though? Mag 7. Is that its own? Why do I forget? I used to know this, but yeah. Um, do you even trade, bro? um, so I enter the trades and the setups in the Discord. I got a free course for DCA and then a paid course. And I mean, to give you tips, I mean, it depends what level you're already at. How much do you know? I mean, it would really depend on what your experience level is for what tip would actually help you. Sometimes that happens in mice, yeah. Sometimes TA will confirm the fundamentals and, all that, yeah. Not always, obviously, but yeah. What was I going to look at? Oh, yeah, Google. It was Alphabet, now that changed it back to Google, yeah. That could be closing in on a yearly high for this, I think. I would think next. The thing, too, is I know I posted a little while ago, well, many months ago now, earlier this year, Pelosi's, portfolio. And it was during, this bottom. And if you did those options, you'd probably be up well over 100% or more. Always next year. I wouldn't do it now. I would kind of wait until, a dip or something. And then get into whatever that, because it's good fundamental stuff too. It's not nonsense. It's AI stuff, tech stuff. It's not stuff that you're probably going to lose that much money on. You know what I mean? It is options though. So, but yeah, that's what you got to keep in mind. Let's see. They're doing more with the the AI stuff, obviously. Yeah, that could be yearly high though. I could see this. I mean, I would think that's kind of like somebody like Garrett Soloway would say. Scene of the crime right there, that 190. What would be a red 2026? I don't think it would be as bad as 2022, especially with the lion in. But let's say half of that. Yeah, half of that would be back to 180. That's probably not that bad of a correction. Is that 30% or something? 25. That's what I would guess. I'm curious about Google versus. This is interesting. That's an interesting chart because it's very choppy. It generally outperforms the NASDAQ, but you do have a little bit of a dividend with the triple Q. So yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so there's that situation. I mean, what are you guys thinking? I wouldn't be, I think for crypto, we just want to be a little bit, not overly, pessimistic yet. But, 3-week, let's be careful with. The 2-week, let's be careful with. I would say 3-week on regular candles, it's not going to print anytime soon, I don't think. And we'd have to really nuke, but yeah. Oh, look at all those monthlies, yeah. The thing too here is you had a little July 21, but all those unanswered, you know what I mean? All those unanswered. That was April. All those I'm thinking unanswered points in NFL, but yeah. Tip when I trade the most time. Let me think. Well, know how much you're going to risk, how much you're willing to bet, on the trade. Stick to strategy. Nothing stupid. That's the interesting part. Yeah, I mean, let's look at Fed Watch tool. Sean. What the? I must have, hold on. What? That's bizarre. All right, let's look at Polymarket's probably not good. We can't bet on it that far out. Fed. You probably can't bet on. January is going to be the pause, obviously. I think you could see some, probably. I mean, we thought there would be a lot more. I think it was originally thought there would be a lot more in 2025. And, based on all the money printed years ago and all that, back in COVID, I mean, I would guess inflation would creep up a little bit. And I don't know if there's going to be that many rate cuts. I mean, Jerome's not out until what, April, I think? There may not be many cuts until then. So, like, you could have a rough, you may not see rate cuts until more towards mid to late 26. I mean, if I had to guess, but we'll see. And I mean, we saw a pretty big drop this year too, with the tariffs. And, there wasn't no, where was it? Here, there wasn't no. The other thing about the S&P 500, if you just go don't do this, but obviously if you just go degenerate every time it, has a big crash, I mean, it's just so foolproof. But I mean, the thing is, this is that's where you got to be afraid, because that takes so long. Because if you got in, there, you'd still be dead in the water for years. But that decade wasn't, I mean, prices for most things that decade didn't go up too much. I mean, housing was going up during that time, but yeah. Will Trump replace? He will, yeah, he definitely will in 2026. There will be rate cuts, but I don't think it'll. The thing too with rate cuts is I'm not the biggest expert in the world on this, but the problem is you're seeing rate cuts, and let's look at your 30-year yield. What is it doing? It's been going up. You had rate cuts here, went up. It doesn't. You need asset prices to drop to really get the rate cuts to be felt. So it may not really affect shit the way, affect things the way we think it might. You may need asset prices to go down. Now, I do think that chart will go down. I do think the TLT will go up in 2026, but I don't know if it's going to be. So let me show you guys something. Let's look at the TLT comparative to, let's see here, you had a very boring nothing situation for years until your '08 crash. Where did our boring nothing situation start? This was 23? So, wait a second. I forgot which one. I think it was the long one, right? That's it, yeah. I mean, it probably won't be exactly this many, but look at this. I mean, it could be many years before this thing does anything significant. So, it could be many years before the interest rates really go down a lot and the bonds market really shoots up. It could be sideways until the next major crash. Now, when was the last major crash? I mean, it was pandemic. It was COVID 2020. 2022 was kind of a crash to a certain extent, especially factoring inflation. But I mean, crashes happen every 8 to 15 years, every 8 to 12 years, something like that. What's 8 years after 2020? That's 2028. What's 12 years? That's 2032. I mean, it could be 2030. It could be 2028, 2032. I mean, I guess it could be next year. It's not impossible. But yeah, so Fed, May of 2026. So unfortunately, I don't think you're going to get really low interest rates for some years, guys. I think they may be kind of low, in a few years, towards the end of the decade, but it's not going to really dump a lot in terms of yields and in terms of bonds, and bonds won't run a lot until the end of the decade. So that's a good question to ask. This is a very smart question, I would say. When does, let's look at Polymarket. When are the betting odds? When does the Fed unshut down? When do they come to an agreement? Or US Gov shut. Fed's type in shut down. I want to see when. Yeah, here we go. Well, that's not. Okay, so 5 more. All right, when? No, there was another one that says when will it end? This is what okay. Yeah, here we go. This is okay. So nobody. Wow, there's no consensus on this. Based on that, not too long. That would be a 30, 40. So kind of based on this, it's probably, I would say, a 50% chance at least of like the end of the month. By the end of the month, you have a 22% chance of, and I would argue it'd be get higher if it doesn't happen by October. Yeah, you have a decent shot though of by October 18th or October 22nd. So when the government shutdown ends and the government opens, then you may see some more movement. You may see the market start to recover. That's just a hunch. I don't know. I don't think you'll get a bond. I mean, yeah, you would theoretically, unless I'm mistaken, you would need a bond breakout to see interest rates go substantially lower. Like I'm talking like mortgage rates below 5%, I would think, or below 4.5%. You'll get them down to like probably high fives at some point in 2026, I would guess. You know, high to mid fives maybe, especially if everything else comes down and new Fed chair. But I don't think you're gonna. Yeah. Let's see. XCL. There's always weird crap that's pumping. I mean, it just sounds bizarre to me. Moving what to outside entities? The coin? I don't. Yeah, I mean, so there's that situation. So, man, let's look at this. Let's see, is anything happening here? I don't know. I think 43. Maybe we just bounce around until the government reopens, and then that kind of, gets us going a little bit. I would guess fear and greed. Or here we go. This is what I want to see. Where the betting? Okay, so this is okay. So people think we're going back to 4,000. That's interesting. These odds change. 66% chance still of 5,000, which is pretty good. Now, I wish there was a 5,500, but so that's where it gets lower, like 7,000, but you still got a good shot of a new all-time high, that 5,000. The 4,000 is kind of, yeah. So there's not much of a consensus here. So, yeah. I almost feel like I'm curious so Miami's been a weird kind of real estate market. It came down lower. Wow. This is dump. That's okay. That's interesting. Okay. And now when you see it dumping, now the problem with that is like, interest rates are still high. You want to see when your real estate's going down, you want to see interest rates go down so you'd refinance, but yeah, it's still only 2%. That's not really nothing to latch onto there. But you got the trigger on the 2-week now. The 2-week, I mean, that would be, wow. Biggest correction, well, I wouldn't say biggest correction. You had COVID, yeah. Biggest correction since 22, I guess, yeah. Yeah, so real estate's coming down a little bit following the rest of the market or whatever. Well, it did go up with, I mean, it could be kind of isolated, which is Miami, but get that trigger wave forming. I do think real estate's got a few more years here, but we'll see. That's kind of worse, though, when interest rates are high and real estate's going down. That's kind of, yeah, if you own. So, yeah. But those are things that I'm, kind of looking at right now. I mean, I'm trying to think here, like, yeah, I don't know. Need inflation to get banks out of this mess. Who's they? Yeah, don't know too much about that, but I'll take your word on it. I don't know. Hopefully we jump here. I'm probably gonna get this. Yeah, probably gonna. They've been on a minute. Always appreciate you guys smashing the like button. ETH is finished. We'll buy treasuries at lower stablecoin owners. I guess, yeah, it could if they're. Well, why would they want to sell their stablecoins if they think the stablecoin's going to go belly up? It depends. I mean, all right, let's look at Tether. Somebody asked about Tether dominance. I'm curious about that. I mean, yeah, when that goes up, generally, not always, but generally, I think, yeah, that generally would be good for the market. Yeah. Trigger wave right there. Or not good, excuse me, bad for the market. I don't think you're there quite yet. I'd be looking at kind of the 3-week trigger, but you're not there. I think it can go down a little bit farther, so yeah. Well, look, I mean, I don't know exactly where ETH's going to go, but I do think that my sell place would be at the 3. This looks like it wants to extend in the 3-week. Could be wrong, though. We'll see what happens, but yeah. Anyway, guys, appreciate you. Or anyway, if you guys are interested in trading, check out the pinned chat below, or some of the comments down below, or excuse me, the description down below. Link to BloFin, 20% cashback if your fees for life, deposit bonus if you sign up and deposit $100 on either BloFin or BYDFI, and open a support ticket in Discord with your UID or your email. Will give you 1 free month there. This promo ends October 15th on BYDFI. Good deposit bonus, so check it out. BYDFI is no VPN even needed, so check that out. No KYC in either of these, so yeah. So yeah, I'm just trying to think if there's really anything else to look at right now. Not too much. I would guess this. I didn't even look at traditional markets. I would guess the SPY is down. Yeah. Slightly. I mean, I would guess maybe 700 by end of year, around there. I don't think she's got that much more in her for this year, you know. Yeah, I mean, if Bitcoin tops in October, maybe this tops in, November. It's looking like Bitcoin may top a little bit later, but we'll see. I mean, you did make, so here, if we want to be as pessimistic as possible, you did make a new all-time high in October. If we want to be more the most bearish case, that could have been the high for the cycle, 120, 126. It was a new all-time high. You did what you needed to do against a lot of things. Bitcoin really proved itself. That was a good number. That was definitely a good number. I do think it can go higher, but we'll see. Now, if we want to be more, confident, we don't want, we don't want the 2-week to confirm this green dot if we want to be more confident on that being the high. I don't think that was the high, based on that. And we don't want the 3-week we definitely don't want the 3-week to confirm here, because that's like more of a bullish sign, a continuation potentially. So yeah. Get rid of that pi cycle top. But yeah. Yeah, let's see. According to yeah, I mean, it can. I forget that, what, 3,700 or something. It's possible. It could be. I mean, I guess I could see it maybe being sideways for the whole month, but probably I think you'd see something happen in the second half of this month. But we'll see what happens. Yeah, I still think there's a good shot at 5,500, 6,000. Yeah, definitely, man. Um, yeah, trigger waves and such. Tau, I think if you can hold, 300 or whatever, you should be able to jump up to 400 for 450, I guess. Yeah, maybe more. Yeah, yeah. B&B makes me think of like Airbnb when I look at that coin. I've talked about. I think my goal for this was like 1,500 to 2,000. I think this easily could hit 1,500. 2,000 maybe stretching a little bit, but I could see getting there. I think like everything else, next 3 week could be kind of nail in the coffin for this. Could be the end. So yeah. But yeah, I think I'm going to get going, guys. Always appreciate you guys smashing the like button. Check out the exchanges down below if you're interested. Remember, if you deposit at least $100 either on BloFin with my link or BidFi with my link, I'll give you 1 free month on Aldo Empire. VP Discord, we got a lot of good traders in there. We've got Nightshade, KMac, 20% cashback off your fees for life. Same thing, 20% cashback off your fees for life with BidFi. Good deposit bonuses in both these. Check them out. I'll see you guys really soon.